Hey, I'm Bomani and I'm live in the den. My main man Miles, Sled, Mr. 4100. I'm gonna give him 100. And my main man Wingsboro, man. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, and share, please. Salute.
Man, we live in the den in my big rock voice, man. Cheers, man.
Cheers in the den.
Bomani off the water.
I give y'all a salute, man. I fucking up that, man. Okay, I give y'all a salute.
Get you
My bad.
water bowl, we good. Live in the den, man, for another segment, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. All we ask is that you, if you like the content, man, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't cost you a payphone quarter to hit the subscribe button, man. A lot of people go out clout chasing and all that. I'm going to rephrase that. Not a lot of people. Some people do their podcast the way they do theirs. Here we do ours the way we do ours. I'm not looking for no, I give everybody that got a story the chance to put their story out there on the podcast, or if I think they got a story. In the case of our guest today, I called him even before I even did a podcast, thought about a podcast, and said, Bomani, you got a story. This guy that y'all get ready to meet today has a rags to riches story. I love it because his story is the epitome of Harry Hippie, down on your luck. Motherfuckers and gave up on you, quit on you. Give me a nickel, brother, can you spare a dime? All of that, man. I watched Bo in high school, a hell of an athlete, basketball player. He hit rock bottom. I don't know the whole story of how it happened, when it happened, but I saw it happen. I witnessed it happen. That's why he's here. He's going to tell you his own story. I always want to tell people, I tell my own stories and you tell your own story. Don't let nobody tell your story. Don't let nobody else write your book. You write your own fucking story. So I used to see Bo when he was up doing swell, and I saw him, like I said, at his lowest peak, and he got the picture to prove it when we put the spotlight on him, to homelessness, sleeping on the streets of MLK, Southeast Washington, D.C., each and every day. I can recall stepping over Bo to get in the liquor store, or here, Bo, give Bo a little bite to eat, or whatever the case may be. Never knowing, nobody knows nobody's story. You never know why he went from rags, from here to here. Everybody has a story. So, seeing Bo back then at his lowest, and then everybody has to want to be saved. And my motto was always, you can't save somebody unless they save themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bo and I never had that conversation, but those were my thoughts. But when I saw him down and saw him out, if he asked me for a quarter, dime, and nickel, I always gave it to him because I didn't know his story. I felt bad, like I do if it was Joe Blow. So then, she does a 360. I see Bomani back on his feet. When I say back on his feet, he wasn't hanging up on the avenue no more. He working. Some people get back on their feet, they struggle, they go to these programs, and it's a temporary fix. Wasn't that way for Bomani, from what I seen. I don't know what happened in the middle, but when I ran across him again, he was back up here, he was smiling, strength, working, son, family. I never knew he moved, they got a wife, beautiful wife, and I'm sure she is the reason or played a big role in him getting back on his feet. Cause you need that. You need us. I don't give a fuck if you 4,500 double old and ain't got no woman. A good nigga needs a good woman. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I'm telling you. So I'm sure, and shout out to Bomani's wife, man, cause I'm sure she's the reason that, because you gotta have that person that's gonna be with you through thick and thin when you trying to get back on your feet after you done fell off on them drugs and them narcotics. Bo, show them the picture, Bo. So they won't think I'm bullshit.
I don't know if they want to zoom in on anything. Okay. Yeah, but this is a picture of me right here.
Okay. Yeah, that's a picture of Bo. That's live. This was every day.
It's like almost 7 years ago right here. Like you said, on Martin Luther King Avenue, right in front of the same convenience store that I used to frequently go to as a kid. You know, at my bottom, I was the person that, like Miles said, you had to step over to get into the establishment, you know, being in the way. And, you know, that was my bottom. And I keep this picture with me, you know, like I was telling Miles earlier. This is like my gratitude picture right here, you know, just to keep me evenly killed.
Keep
you know,
grounded, keep it grounded, killed, yep.
Because sometimes, you know, things can get real cute. And, you know, I'm reminded that things can get real ugly real fast if I don't stay the course. So I don't need nobody to beat me in the head to tell me or anything like that. I know what I need to do today, you know, so.
So let's start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up here in Southeast Washington, D.C., but I was not born here. I came to D.C. in 79. I was born in Syracuse, New York, in 1974. And my mom and my sister's dad got together after I was born. And we moved to Minnesota a year or two after I was born. I lived in Minnesota for a year, Duluth, Minnesota for a year or two. And then my stepdad at the time, he was in the service. So we came to D.C. Via Bowling Air Force Base.
Oh, okay.
I was a base kid at first.
Okay.
And I started in kindergarten in Congress Heights Elementary at the time. This before it was Martin Luther King Elementary. I was there when it was Congress Heights. And so my mom and my stepdad broke up after like my first year in school. And my dad and my mom, of course, she left the household and she went to the next neighboring neighborhood, which was Orange and Oakwood Street in that area. And that's where I eventually grew up at.
Still Southeast?
It's still Southeast.
What's the neighborhood?
It's Congress Heights. It used to be like Congress Heights Overlook, like Washington Overlook.
Okay.
It's right off of Malcolm X and Newcomb Street.
Buck the left on MLK.
Yes, indeed. Make a left on MLK. You know, and I think about this sometimes. Something funny happened because I used to catch the school bus to school when we was living on the base, and we used to come up Malcolm X Avenue.
Yep. Portland Street at the time.
Portland Street at the time, and soon as we left the base and moved on Oakwood Street first, I was walking to school and I could see that same bus pass me. I was a little kid, I couldn't understand like what, you know, but I like to say that because, you know, now I look back and I was sort of traumatized as a little as a little kid, you know. I ain't had no family here, it was just me, my mom, and my little sister. You know, all my other relatives was, you know, I had older brothers that I never really had a chance to meet.
I don't know if you remember, but I know that base life was totally different.
No, it was totally
outside of that gate.
No, it was totally different from what I remember.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. It was totally different.
Yeah.
So one thing I hear you mention, and no respect, I'm just asking questions I want to know. Where was your biological father?
At that time, I did not have no clue of who my father was. Right? My sister's dad was my dad. I was born in '74. my sister was born in 77. So by the time I really woke up, like around 3 years old and stuff like that, the only person I seen in my household was my sister dad.
Right.
So at that time I had no recollection of who my father was, you know. And so then when we separated, and my mom went her separate ways, you know, I remember she telling me, like, I'm like 6, 7 years old, I remember she telling me that I'm the man of the house now. And I was like, what? You know, so I'm taking out the trash, you know, back in them days, man, you taking that trash out in the alley, man, you see rats and cats and raccoons and stuff. I remember I was just scared like, but yeah, I had no recollection of my dad at that time, you know. I remember lying to people when people used to ask me about my father. I used to say he was dead, you know, because that just used to keep you, you know, keep you off me, so you don't have to keep coming back.
When you was in elementary school back then, they thought everybody had 2 parent households because that was their number one question: what's your mom's name and what's your father's name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the kids, you know, growing up, you know, when we kids, we curious, like we ask a lot of questions amongst each other. You know, why you dressing like that? Where's your mother? Where's your father? You know, and it was kind of rough growing up back in them days, man. And my mom never had a job. We was definitely on welfare and stuff. And
me too.
Yes, indeed.
No shame in our game.
Don't raise your hand, Wing.
Oh, he was scratching his head. He was scratching his head, y'all. Wing was giving me ask what's welfare.
No, I think my mom was actually
Only child spoiled. Worked all her life. You give me ask what's welfare?
And my mom used to send me to the store. She used to send me to the, you know, we had that Safeway right there.
The Safeway, yeah.
She used to send me to the Safeway with a book of food stamps.
Well, thank you.
And you got friends in the neighborhood, right? So you know your friends see you about to go to the grocery store, they're like, hey, what's up, boy? And I just try to, because I ain't want them to see them food stamps.
I took them same food stamps to that same Safeway, to the highs, Safeway on Woodhull Road, and I opened that motherfucking book up like it was regular money. They wasn't teasing because everybody, damn near 99% of the people in the farm was on welfare, and getting food stamps down there. You had some well-to-do people living in the farms, but shit, man, we was exchanging food stamps.
Right.
I was just tearing them motherfuckers out the book. $5, they would give $5. My mother used to tell me, this is how much stuff should come up to, and went to the motherfucking Safeway, man, with the book. They used to didn't take them.
You take them lives out. Yeah, you take
the ones they take off
there. Rules with it. They have rules with it. Like you
The 5s, 10s, they
can take the ones out.
They wasn't in that book, goddamn.
The ones went in the book. I mean, the 5s and the 10s went in the book. They would take them.
But I learned as I got older though too. Like you said, neighborhoods like Berry Farms and like those was really projects. Right, where I lived at was, you know, that's residential up there. Right. So I didn't know that until I got older and I started looking at like, hold up. You know, like it's more, you know, cause we used to look down on people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people just look down on us too, but just not knowing and not being knowledgeable of, you know, people's situations. But I got more respect for those type of, like you said, the farms, whatever, 15 places like early Congress Park, like those was projects. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
We lived in a residential area up there, you know, up there, Orange Street, Oakwood Street, all that. That's not project, but we used to carry it like it was project.
Shit.
And the people that I grew up under carried it like it was project.
Yeah.
And the environment, the environment up there was pretty, you know, it was. And y'all remember, you know, Orange Street back in the 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah. Orange, Melon, Riley.
Yeah, it was turned up. So I grew up in that type of environment.
We're about to wrap up session 1 Inside the Den Man Live with my main man, Bomani, telling his